I'm Kyle,
I'm Elliot.
and this is Shitbox.
A few things we want to chat about today,
Yeah, so we're going to cover your FIA rant that's become a weekly thing.
Yeah.
Um, we're going to cover Le Mans.
Yeah.
And then a bit of history on Kenneth Block.
Yeah. There's a few Kens in motorsports, isn't there?
Ken Block.
Ken Miles.
Ken Miles. Who are the other Kens? Ken that's married to Barbie, I'm pretty sure. He had a race car at one point.
Kennel. All right, FIA rant. FIA. They're in a bit of hot water at the moment because...
Are they though? Or is everyone just kind of leaving them to it?
I can't see how they're not gonna... The way it's looking, like every race, there's a decision that is obviously biased. And now it was speculation it was biased after the last race. What you can't tell me that Lando Norris isn't getting some sort of favouritism. You can't bin it into the back of someone the straight
and not get a penalty point.
I don't
understand how he hasn't got a penalty point.
When Max Verstappen's got penalty points for impeding during a practice session.
So we'll just quickly recap over the weekend.
Yeah.
We had Lando Norris try and pull a Lightning McQueen up the side of the wall.
Yeah.
But there wasn't enough room.
Yeah.
We had the issue with George Russell, Latte Man.
Yeah. He I don't want to say it's unsportsmanlike. It's very much let's try and get Max a penalty point here.
Yeah.
And I think Max obviously didn't play into the games.
And then there's the issue with Cutie Pursuit Yuki.
Yeah. So in practice 3, Yuki Piastri sent it.
Yeah, we'll start with Yuki.
Yeah.
And then we'll end on Norris.
So practice 3, Piastri's sent it into the wall of champions. I think the damage was to the wheel rim, puncture and rear suspension, and he's going slowly down the straight.
Yuki, which straight was he on?
The main straight.
The back straight, or
after the wall of champions?
The start finish straight.
Yeah. He's going slowly down the straight, and Yuki, obviously under red flag conditions, has overtook him. Now, I understand there's no overtaking under red flag conditions. Surely it's more dangerous to stay behind a car that's got damage, as bad as it was. And there's worse damages that we've seen.
But why did he not pull it to the left-hand side of the start-finish straight off of the racing line and wait?
I'm assuming he was finding a safe place to stop. However, that's the point. So if he stopped, has Yuki got to stop behind them? Because Yuki got a 10-place grid penalty for this. And it's quite annoying. Anyway, it's essentially ruined Yuki Tsunoda's weekend.
10-place grid penalty, wasn't it? Which I think's a bit harsh.
It is a bit.
But it keeps of what I was saying last week of the FIA seem to have some form of vendetta against Red Bull at the moment.
Well, yeah. So the weekend continues, and obviously it took the penalty. George Russell put it on pole. Which, by the way, can I have a moan about tyres?
Why? Anything you don't moan about?
Why? I'm sick of fucking listening about tyres. Tyres. Why are medium tyres faster than softer tyres?
Because of the degradation.
So why are we bringing them soft tyres? Because we brought softer tyres than last year to try and add a bit of controversy and make them do double stops and shit like that. It's fucking blowing my mind.
It will be that the soft tyre is soft until it hits a point, and then it'll hit that crossover.
I'm going to put my tinfoil hat on and say the Red Bull's struggling to keep the tyres in range.
That's because it's got too much mechanical grip.
Yeah. But McLaren can keep the tyres in range. And for some reason, every race, we seem to bring in softer tyres.
Flexi wings.
and the flexi wing issue. Anyway,
Yeah, but because of those flexi wings down the straights, there's less pressure on the tyres. Therefore,
yeah,
there's less degradation.
so it's working in McLaren's favour.
Yeah.
I don't understand why we're bringing softer tyres than the year before.
So then there was the issue with Russell and Verstappen.
Yeah, so the safety car come out after Norris binned it into the back of Piastri and then put it into the wall, which is really good race car driver. You no longer go for a gap that doesn't exist when the gap's this fucking big and your car.
Not only did he go for a gap that doesn't exist, it was a gap that doesn't exist on grass.
Yeah. So safety car comes out and George Russell was just winding Max up. They fucking hate each other, don't they?
I was watching a clip from Pit Stop's podcast from the end of the season last year, and it was explaining they had who was the Red Bull driver that they've not long got rid of down to Racing Bull?
Lawson.
Liam Lawson. So he was explaining how they'd put a seat. George was going to turn up late.
What are we talking about?
To the driver's dinner at the end of the season.
Yeah.
And they'd put a seat next to Max. It was the only
and
spare
he dragged
seat.
the seat and
he picked the seat up and moved it to the opposite end of the table.
Yeah, they hate each other, and it all stems from, I think I mentioned it earlier, the Max Verstappen got a penalty point for impeding during a practice session while George Russell was on a cool down lap. He said Max got in his way. They're both not on fast laps, so George has essentially just sped up. And then they just beefed in the press conference ever since. And then obviously we had the big flare up in this year in Spain, where Max drove into George Russell.
Yeah.
They fucking don't like each other. But the interesting thing is, George Russell's success might also be his downfall because Toto Wolff's got his eye on Max Verstappen. He doesn't.
Yeah.
George Russell has just won the first Mercedes win in a while.
Kimi Antonelli is his new golden boy.
Of
George
course,
Russell's just filling a spot.
Did you see the clip? George Russell just won the first win for Mercedes in a while, and Toto Wolff, his face looked like his child's just been murdered. He was not interested at all.
Yeah,
because he's more asked about.
I think based on the upward trajectory that Mercedes are taking, we could see a stint of Mercedes dominance from next season again.
I don't know about that. I think the dominance is gonna. I'm interested to see what Aston Martin are doing. There's a lot of whispers about them.
They've now got Adrian Newey.
Yeah, Adrian Newey. Obviously,
well, he's been there for a while, hasn't he? But he's obviously not done none of the work for the car this season because of his gardening leave.
Yeah, and obviously the guy's a legend in the sport. He's got like something like 23 constructors.
Did you see the video of when he was out racing somewhere in an Aston Martin, doing some lower tier, like it was some kind of like GT3 racing, and he absolutely bottled it into the wall.
No,
Adrian Newey's on track, giving it the beans, and then all of a sudden car just snap oversteers and he sticks it in a wall.
Leaving around, coming out of Beckett onto the Hanger straight, just loses it. Slams it up against the wall.
Do you know what? It's always interesting to watch. Is it Mark Webber who always made the cars fly? Most downforce that you could. These race cars produce the most downforce of any car ever produced. And he's like, oh yeah, well watch this. It's going to turn it into a fucking plane. He did it at Le Mans, didn't he?
Yeah.
Was it Le Mans or was it Nürburgring? I feel like that was Nürburgring. Oh no, sorry, the GTR was Nürburgring, wasn't it?
That was Janu,
the guy who's the gamer, wasn't he?
Yeah, so he went through the GT Academy when that first started, and it was the first and last time they did it for a good couple of years. I think he started it, and now, but yeah, he entered the racing the similar way to Jimmy Broadbent, from where he was a sim racer first, and then he went.
And what
onto
Max is
racing.
doing with
That was a
red line.
particularly bad crash. That though, he came over the breast of the hill, and a bit of dirty air just lipped under the splitter, and the car just flipped.
Crazy. Right, back onto
the F1.
So George Russell is behind the safety car. He's sped up, looked in his mirrors. You can see it on his onboard. Looked in his mirrors to see where Max was. Max was over to one side, getting some cool air. Slammed on his brakes. Max has just overtook me. Under safety car. Obviously, blatant as brought. It was just blatant. Obviously, a bit of wind up, trying to get Max that penalty point. They fucking hate each other, don't they?
Yeah, they can't stand each other.
The premiere for the new F1 film was this weekend. Did you see much of it?
We haven't talked about this Norris's incident.
Oh yeah. So Norris slams into the back of fucking Piastri on the straight because he's an absolute bottle job, and the FIA was like, no penalty. George Russell, 10 seconds, 10 car lengths away from the safety car, no penalty. Same thing that...
I think he did it because he was unhappy with the team strategy of overtake rather than giving Piastri team orders to let him past.
Yeah. Well, no, to be honest, I don't think that's true. They were racing hard. Up and towards that, and I think if we're going to let one of them win the championship, because let's be honest, it's McLaren's season this season.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, it's McLaren's season this season, and the champion fight is between Lando and Piastri. And Piastri is showing his teeth a bit. He's fighting for this, and Norris just doesn't have it in him to keep the pace. But back onto the F1 premiere, the film. Did you see how many of them were making sure the watches were in the shot? Because obviously they're all
sponsored by this.
So they're all taking pictures on the red carpet, but they're all moving the jackets to make sure the watch is in the shot, just to get the sponsors out there. Because they're wearing
because all the Red Bull drivers are sponsored by Tag.
Tag, yeah. Richard Millier's McLaren and the Ferrari.
Ferrari as well, yeah. And then there's also the Mercedes drivers are sponsored by Rolex.
Yeah, it's just fucking ridiculous money in it. Interesting that we haven't got a Rolex timekeeping.
No, it's gone back to Tag. So it used to be, it was Tag Heuer, or Heuer, however you want to say it, years ago. And then it went to Rolex, and Rolex did the timing for most of the time we've watched the F1.
Yeah.
And then it's gone back to Tag again now.
Yeah, interesting. You want to talk a bit about Le Mans?
Yeah, so it's the first time that a private team has ever outright won Le Mans. AF Corsa came in first.
It's the first time a customer team has ever beat Ferrari as well.
Yes. I've got bigger news about Le Mans actually, but we'll get onto this first. So we had Robert Kubica coming across the line.
Yeah.
First place for AF Corsa. In second place, we had Porsche Penske.
Yeah.
And then what is the Ferrari Factory Works team called?
Ferrari.
Yeah, and then Ferrari in third and fourth, and then fifth place was Toyota Gazoo Racing.
Decent. Hypercar. Interesting, isn't it?
Interesting facts. 2027, Ford back in Le Mans. with a hypercar.
The GT50.
No, with a hypercar.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so what used to be called LMP1, now called hypercar. So what they call it? The categories for Le Mans is hypercar, previously called LMP1.
Yeah.
LMP2.
Yeah.
Then LMP3.
Yeah. And then
GT4, GT3.
Yeah.
And it's the biggest race in the WEC.
Interestingly
series.
Enough, something I noticed while watching that. Did you see who was in the Alpines? The Alpines one of the Alpine's GT3 cars?
No.
Mick Schumacher.
Yeah, he's raced for them for a while.
So, do you reckon there's a move in terms of him coming
To
into...
be honest, tunes. To be honest, I don't think we'll ever see Mick Schumacher back in the F1.
I disagree. I think he's coming back this season.
I don't.
I think
Unless he comes back for Porsche next year.
Audi.
That's the one, Audi next year. But Porsche have put in a bid for Alpine.
That's true, yeah.
So unless he comes back for Porsche or Audi, I don't think we'll ever see him.
It would be weird to see Renault off the grid, though. Because I know they're Alpine now. They've been in the sport for a while, haven't they? Have they been the most successful team? Probably not.
No.
But
also, if Alpine go, there's a good chance. There's no way that if Porsche do buy Alpine, that we're keeping Flavio Briatore, which would be a good thing. I think he's got no place to be in the sport.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, that's pretty.
Back onto Le Mans.
Sorry,
we've gone back into F1. So Robert Kubica won the race.
Yeah.
First Polish guy to ever win it.
Yeah.
His teammate, I didn't know his name. I can't remember it. First Chinese guy to ever win it, and there was a British guy with a 36th guy to ever win it.
And for those who don't know, like, because the Le Mans over 24 hours, there's 3 drivers per car, so
it's a brutal race.
Brutal race, like. I think at some point we're going to go and watch it.
Yeah, I'd like to go to the obviously the Nürburgring 24 hours this weekend. I think that's a more exciting race, to be honest. I know Le Mans historically amazing.
Yeah, but those cars screaming past in the Mulsanne Straight.
The green hell though is just it's like trying to ride the bicycle in your living room. It's so tight.
But I think that's pretty much it for news sort of stuff this week, isn't it? Yeah,
I think so. Robert Kubica's finally got some recognition he deserves. I think he's an amazing driver.
Yeah.
Obviously, his F1 career was cut short due to that accident he had in, let's say, 2008.
Yeah.
He just signed for Ferrari, I believe, or a team in red, I think his words were. And obviously, he crashed that rally car and broke every bone on the left side of his body. Left side? Is it right side?
Left side, because the rally cars are right-hand drive. Left-hand drive, sorry.
Yeah, so it'd be the right side, yeah.
No, because he hit it door on.
No, I thought it was from the barrier coming through his car. He broke all the... I don't know the details of it.
He hit a tree.
No, have you not seen the car?
Nah.
The barrier went through
his car.
That's how he fucking... See what I call
That's mad.
So we're gonna get into the Ken Block section. This is your little section now. You're gonna run through the history of motorsport, prominent figures and cars.
Yeah. So before the roar of turbochargers, before the tyre smoke and Gymkhana fame, there was a kid from Long Beach. Ken Block was born in 1967. Southern California sun in his veins, skateboard beneath his feet, snow on the horizon.
Isn't Snoop Dogg from Long Beach?
Yeah.
Dope.
No?
What?
No. Snoop Dogg's from Compton.
He's not, he's from Long Beach.
Is he?
Yeah.
He grew up chasing adrenaline.
Smoky in Long Beach.
He grew up chasing adrenaline, not fame, but somehow along the path he discovered how to make both collide. In 1994, Ken Block co-founded DC Shoes.
Did he?
Yeah.
I didn't
Did you not know
that? I knew he always wore that brand. I didn't know he was a co-founder.
Yeah, he's one of the co-founders of DC Shoes.
Dope.
With a guy called Rob somebody. I can't remember the name of.
Kubica?
No, not Robert Kubica. Blending fashion and function with skate culture. He wasn't just selling shoes, he was selling identity. DC became a phenomenon. Riders wore it, kids lived it, and Ken, he quietly built an empire with best friend Damon Way.
So I knew he was a skater first. He was. I don't know whether skater's the term. He liked a mountain bike and
Yeah.
a BMX and maybe a
skating,
skateboard.
yeah.
I don't really know much history. Yeah.
After selling DC shoes in 2004, Ken did something most entrepreneurs wouldn't dare. He started over at 37 years old. He strapped into a race car, no safety net, just desire. In 2005, he entered his first rally. No one expected much. He left with a 4th place finish and Rally America's Rookie of the Year. Ken Block had just taken the first corner of his second act.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The second act was better than the first.
Yeah. By 2006, Block was tearing up the X Games, facing legends, beating expectations. One day, he was lining up next to Colin McRae, the rally god.
We
need
to
do an episode on Colin McRae.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely. Do you know he died? Wasn't even in the car.
Neither was Ken Block.
Yeah, that's a good point. Colin McRae died in a helicopter. He put it in the side of a cliff.
Ken Miles died in the car that he loved.
Yeah, he did. And for a moment, Ken looked less like a newcomer and more like the future. He didn't always win, but he always made you watch. Ken Block took his talent worldwide, competing in the World Rally Championship.
Oh, I didn't know he was World Rally. I thought it was American Rally.
No, World Rally.
Dope.
Scoring podiums in global rallycross. His cars got louder, his brand got stronger, but still, this wasn't just about speed. He wanted to change how people saw motorsport, and that meant breaking the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a guy who could go to big car manufacturers and say, "You're going to build me a car," and they would. He's a fucking legend, isn't he?
Yeah, absolute guy. In 2008, the world met Jim Carner. Precision driving meets urban playground. Ken Block transformed cities into drift circuits and YouTube into a racetrack. Tens of millions watched in awe. Millions more picked up a controller or camera. Ken wasn't just a driver. He was a showman, an artist, and a digital pioneer.
It was like skateboarding meets drifting. Do you know when everyone got all them wide-angle lenses and videoed the skateboard?
Can we talk about Dirt 3 for a minute?
We can, yeah.
So Dirt, his car was the title car on the front cover of Dirt 3.
Was this the Fiesta?
This was the Focus.
Was it a Focus or a Fiesta?
It was a Mark III Focus.
Because he had a Fiesta purpose-built. It was the only person to ever have.
So this was the Mark III Focus, and it was the first time that Jim Carner had been put into a game.
Dope.
Yeah, and the setting was Battersea Power Station in London, and they'd basically taken Battersea Power Station and turned it into a Jim Carner playground, and you could like go inside the power station and drift up around it.
I think I remember it. I'm not a biggest fan of Dirt games, but I do
Dirt
remember.
3 is like on the soundtrack for Dirt 3. The whole thing, well, pretty much the whole thing was Chasing Status.
Was it?
Yeah, it was brilliant. The title song was Blind Faith by Chasing Status.
See, when I think of Ken Block, I think of a DC hat with a Monster logo and Monster logos, DC branding, and rock music. He is like the skater of.
Like when I think of Ken Block, I think of Dirt 3.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, it's like I loved that game so much. So even with the chaos of engines, Ken stayed grounded by his family. Lucy was his co-pilot in life. Leah, his prodigy.
So a little bit about Leah Block. Have you got a bit in there?
There's the bit at the end about Leah Block.
Oh, okay.
In 2022, Ken took Jim Carner electric, piloting a 1,400 horsepower Audi through neon lit Las Vegas.
And it wasn't his best car. Let's talk about the Fiesta RS.
That wasn't his best car?
Or the Mustang.
The Unicorn.
Is that the Mustang? The black
that was
one?
the 1963 notchback Mustang,
Yeah.
but it wasn't a Mustang
No,
because it was a body on a tube frame.
yeah, it was dope. He had some dope cars. I know his Fiesta's currently in the UK somewhere. Someone bought it. I think they donated it to a charity now. But he went to Ford, and they built him the first. I think it was the Mark 7 Fiesta RS, and he was the only one to ever have a Fiesta RS, and it was ridiculous, purpose built. And they just did it for him because it's Ken Block. It's crazy to have that sort of influence against a manufacturer.
This would be his final ride on film, but not his final word.
Mm.
On January 2nd, 2023, the unthinkable happened. A snowmobile accident in Utah ended the life of Ken Block at just 55.
It's crazy we have these guys who live their lives on the limit in motorsport and driving ridiculous speeds and then have accidents like so unrelated to what they do.
Slow down.
Fucking hell. And another one, skiing accident next.
Yeah.
But yeah,
the accident he had wasn't even.
It wasn't on the snowmobile. Didn't the snowmobile slide and hit him?
He was on it. No, you're thinking of Jeremy Renner.
Come on. Are you sure?
Yeah, where that was a snowcat went over him. So Ken Block was on it. It went up a tree at ridiculously low speed because it was under power. It flipped onto him, and that's what killed him.
I thought he got off it to take a photo, and it rolled onto him.
Maybe.
But yeah, it was crazy as well. It was just.
But it was the mad thing that he wasn't even.
It was like something so minor, and it's like obviously we talk about Schumacher's accident, skiing accident. This guy can drive a car at 200 miles an hour, put it in the wall, climb out, and then go skiing with his family, and that's it. You know, he's in it. Whatever state Schumacher is in, obviously his family want to keep that private, but he's no longer racing.
No.
It's crazy to me. And then look at Ken Miles just testing the car.
Yeah.
Loses it. That's it. It's crazy that none of these they can have accidents that are so far from the closer to death on the racetrack than and it's normal day that can do it.
In that quiet, the world mourned a legend, but his story didn't die there. From Lewis Hamilton to Travis Pastrana, from Reddit threads to TikToks, millions said goodbye. Not just to a racer, but to an inventor, a father, and a fearless dreamer. He left behind more than memories. He left a movement. Leah Block, just 16, raced her father's Porsche up the mountain he loved.
Is that
Pikes Peak?
Pikes Peak. Have you seen him drifting up it?
Yeah.
Fucking hell. See what I mean? He's on the limit. He didn't fucking nearly come off the cliff. And it's crazy to me.
Lucy took on electric racing because Ken believed in the future. Together they carry the number 43 and everything that it stands for. Ken Block didn't live a conventional life. He lived a full throttle one. From the boardroom to the back roads, from the skate decks to supercars, he proved that limits are just suggestions. Legends don't slow down, they just shift into another gear.
Crazy, isn't it? And then you look at what his kids are doing as well in motorsport. Obviously, Leah, you mentioned Lucy Block. Leah Block is the young...
Lucy's his wife.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Sorry. Leah Block's his daughter.
Yeah.
She was the youngest American rally champion of ever. She's now in F1 Academy.
Yeah.
And racing for Williams. It's another British team. I'm going to start buying some Williams merch. You know, I'm big Williams fan at the moment. I want to see them do well.
They're getting better.
They're getting better. They were getting there. and it's just crazy to
That might be
the
a
legacies
good one
left
for
behind.
next week. The history of Frank Williams.
It's a good history as well. I
Yeah.
mean, well, we'll save it for next week.
Yeah.
But if there's any that you've got an idea of you want us to talk about or explain or anything like that, we can definitely do that. Might do a bit about not just Ken Miles but the GT40 in itself, and we've seen
I think
them
we should
in the
do the
wild.
whole Ford versus Ferrari at Le Mans,
Yeah.
because the film was good. There's more to it than what the film
Oh,
puts
obviously,
out there.
and it is a British car. Don't tell me that it was built in England.
I know.
It was right hand drive, which is kind of cool.
That was on the request of Ken Miles, that though.
Was it?
It being right-hand drive, yeah.
He's
He
the only
said
guy
that
that
he could shift faster with his left hand.
Crazy. He's the only guy that could drift, all-wheel drift, that good, and have that much control. I'd love to know what takes it, because drifting's scary. I mean, I can kick out the back end.
I know I've been in the car when you've done it,
but it's knowing where the car's going to be
Yeah.
every time. It's the consistency that he had was just unreal.
But we grew up. We're of the generation that grew up watching the Gymkhana videos.
I know. Do you remember waiting for the next video?
There were.
It was crazy.
They did one for Top Gear and everything.
He did, yeah. He did one for Top Gear. Did one
And then
in,
there was.
I want to say he did one in Disneyland as well.
Gymkhana 3 was the video around Battersea Power Station, and it was absolutely amazing.
He did one
and
in
that's
Disneyland.
why it ended up in the Dirt 3 game.
That one up Pikes Peak was sick.
Yeah.
What
that
was the one
was
when
in the Unicorn Pikes Peak, wasn't it?
He was drifting around the helicopter and the fucking blades were spinning and everything, and he was fucking inches away from it.
Yeah, it was mad.
So sick. But yeah, the guy was fearless in any sort of environment, I suppose, and the fear. I suppose the fear of skating where you fall off and get back up. He brought that into motorsports.
Yeah.
Which is worst case scenario, you're going to break an arm or an ankle or whatever skating. He was like, oh, well, I've got a roll cage, let's go. Crazy.
I don't think I mentioned there, though, Hoonigan.
Hoonigan. Oh, yeah, obviously, that was his brand.
So Hoonigan they were a media company.
Yeah.
They purely set up to make videos.
And it's a shame that
they got bought, didn't they? And then they got turned in. The guys who bought them turned them into a car parts brand that. The quality wasn't very good, and it's not really what the
shite. And then
wasn't really what
they're a t-shirt company essentially. I think
they were a media company that sold t-shirts.
So since his death,
I've got the Kill All Tires t-shirt.
Oh yeah. Since his death, the company's got a bit.
Yeah, I was watching a video the other day about with the guy he co-founded Hoonigan with. It was a guy called Scotty.
Not familiar.
And the minute that Ken Block died, he walked away.
Yeah. But we've seen it happen where a corporation will buy a popular media company and basically take it away from its roots.
Are we talking about Donut here?
I wasn't talking about your Donut. You're talking about Donut.
I'll talk about Donut for a second. So they were bought out quite not that long ago, maybe a year ago.
I think it's about 2 now.
18 months.
Something like that.
Because everyone left about a year ago.
Well, it was the whole shift of electric cars, wasn't it? I think was the issue. I think they got bought out a lot sooner than we think. But obviously
everyone left about a year ago.
Not everyone left.
James left.
Yeah.
He was he owned it. He started it.
Yeah, that was his baby, wasn't it?
And then the 2 lads from Big Time.
Zach.
His name's in my head. His face is in my head.
It's a B name, isn't it?
Yeah. His name's in my head. His face is in my head.
Yeah, he was one of the reasons I bought an MX-5 with that money pit.
Oh yeah, the first series of Money Pit.
Oh my god! Right, we're gonna add things and see what power they make. Crazy.
Yeah,
that was the whole premise of it. And
But-
just explaining.
a little bit closer to home. Look at what happened to Car Throttle.
Yeah.
They were bought out and they went downhill.
And then someone who also does something similar to what we do, which is WTF1. They're
Yeah.
now P1, aren't they?
Yeah. Because they got bought out.
So, I mean, don't get me wrong. If someone wants to throw in an offer,
You are
someone wants to throw in an offer, but no,
on a channel with 37 subscribers. Not going to happen.
37 quid there.
We'll take it.
But yeah, it's crazy, and I feel like this might be the best or worst time to do this, because either these electrics are going to flop, which is starting to look that way. In the news, we're talking.
I've got a massive thing on that. We've spoke about the Volvo study before.
Yeah,
and
because
I know someone who is. Bear in mind, I've not spoke to this person in about 3-4 years, but I know someone who's in like the mining industry, and he's been and done surveys on where they get the lithium and stuff out from.
Yeah.
And he says it's so detrimental to the environment. So I don't know. I think everyone's like, for the consumer, yeah, it's net zero. In the bigger picture, it's nowhere near as damaging as a diesel or a petrol car.
They're just disposable as well. They're like iPhones. They're just.
Well, I say it all the time, don't I? Look at him. He's driving an iPad. Drives past in a Tesla.
Yeah. And the batteries, man.
I mean, this is half iPad.
See, hybrids are cool. Hybrids are cool. Race cars are hybrids. Formula, don't get me wrong, Formula E, that's cool. It's a fucking race series that is just electric.
But that's basically Mario Kart.
It's cool.
Have you seen the Go Faster lane?
Yeah,
it's sick, isn't it?
Sick. And then
they've got this thing now where you can slow down the driver in front of you.
Sure.
They have, yeah. Sick.
Not a real thing. I need to get back into Formula E. I watched it.
Yeah. I watched it when
it first started. Do they still have the fan boost? So,
yes.
Do you know you have driver of the day in F1?
Yeah, they have fan boost, don't they?
So it could boost. You get a boost if you get voted for like 2 laps. Sick. I rate it. Do
you remember the first couple of seasons of Formula E, and because the batteries were that crap, they used to have to swap cars halfway through.
Yeah. Or the amount of times you see someone run out of battery just before the finish line.
Yeah, just before the end of the race. Madness, isn't it? I think that's it for this week, isn't
That's a pod, isn't it?
That's a pod. See you guys next week.
We didn't talk about the Alpine behind us, but
no, we didn't.
Different car every week, innit?
Yeah, it's too new for us.
We'll pull dingers out anyway.
Might have a dinger for us next week.
Which one?
Cooper S. 2002 Cooper S.
Are you going to buy it?
No.
We might also be doing a video where Cal goes and buys a project car.
Where is this money coming from?
This is in the future, and it's probably most likely going to be an MX-5.
We've got a couple of video ideas, though, haven't we, to be fair?
Yeah. At the moment, they're just on paper, though, aren't they, in pencil?
I want to do that one where we race the modern car versus the old car versus public transport.
Yeah. Do you reckon his name's Rob?
Yeah.
Right, that's
a pod.